This is going to be another entertaining fight. Marcus McGhee versus Gaston Bolanos. Marcus McGhee, he's 8-1, 4-1 in last five, and he's coming off of that KO victory over JP Buys in the first round, I believe. So it's a pretty quick finish. He's fighting against Gaston Bolanos, 7-3. He is 3-2 in his last five, coming off that decision victory over Aaron Phillips, I believe 7 months ago, and that was his UFC debut, I believe. And in terms of the odds right now, this has gotten pretty interesting. So Marcus McGhee, he's minus 375 opened at those odds, and now he's a minus 260. So people have been taking some dog action on Gaston. Gerard, I'll let you start off the breakdown between these two men. What do you think about Marcus McGhee and Gaston Bolanos here?
I think both of these guys have pretty good striking. McGee, I think he has a wrestling background. Um, McGee, I think he's probably the better, more dangerous boxer here if we're just talking about the hands in boxing. And Gaston, he's a pretty seasoned Muay Thai and kickboxing striker. He has some nice strikes, but one thing that is a big hole in his game is his grappling, which can be used to make him he has trouble there is what I'm trying to say. Can't talk right now. Yeah, and his jujitsu, I don't really see too much in his grappling and jujitsu. And we've seen McGee, he can mix it up. He can take your back. He can go for submissions, and even we can even see a club and sub here for McGee. And I think McGee's a pretty heavy favorite right now, and he's also going to be my pick here. I just think he is a more complete MMA fighter. He has a more complete bag, and Gaston, I think he just has a big hole in his game where I think McGee can hold his own in the stand up against Gaston, and there's just a big hole in Bolaños' grappling and jiu-jitsu, which McGee can attack. So my pick here is McGee, and I do have him in some parlays.
Okay. Yeah, I tend to agree with some of what you were saying. I think that Marcus is another solid all-around fighter that the UFC has found. He made a lot of noise in the UFC last year, coming off of two straight finishes. And I think he just came in straight up as like a debut and kind of beat Journey Newsom and then beat JP Buys. Two guys have fought in the UFC before, so he made a lot of noise last year. He's a slightly above average striker to me. He does have heavy hands, decent hand speed, able to pressure forward and work in those boxing combos. I think he's mainly a boxer as a striker. He's also a good grappler from what I've seen, able to scramble, use his sweeps really well. He has the ability to end fights with subs, like his club and sub Journey Newsom in his UFC debut. Um, so yeah, we haven't really seen him use too much grappling because maybe the fights and matchups hasn't called for it, but I think he does have that in his arsenal. Gaston is more one-sided in his approach. He's a high-level Muay Thai kickboxing style striker, above average power. I think that he does have some pretty dynamic shots, pretty flashy stuff that comes from different angles. He does a really good job of pulling off spinning attacks as well. So he's a pretty good striker. He does have a tendency to be a little wild in his attacks, which leads him to trouble, or it could either hurt his opponents pretty badly. The one hole in his game that you mentioned is that it is his grappling. I mean, he was taken down 3 out of 5 times in his UFC debut last year and controlled for 6 minutes. I will say that although this did not lead him to lose, though, he still thoroughly outstruck his opponent, Aaron Phillips, 130-27 on two judges' scorecard and 29-28 on another. So, he does have a hole, but he still won that fight, which is something that's a good sign for me. Now, Marcus, I do think that he has Gaston covered in the grappling department. He may be able to find a sub if he follows a more grappling centric game plan. However, the one worry that I have is that given his success in the UFC thus far, he may attempt to stand with Gaston, believe it or not. And if he does that, I think this is going to be more of a 50-50 fight. What my gut is telling me is that I think that Marcus will be smart and try to continue his win streak. He'll try to take Gaston down more of a grappling focused game plan. However, I just can't trust him 100% to do that because I feel like once some of these fighters who are more of like grappling based fighter, right? He comes from more of a wrestling background. Once they fall in love with their hands, they really like to fall in love with their hands. So I think that the pick here is going to be Marcus by decision, maybe even a club and sub, but I think I'm staying away from this because I could easily see this getting into a firefight where it's more 50-50. And in that 50-50 shot, I think Gaston has more dynamic striking prowess that might cause some trouble for Marcus. So I'm just going to stay away and watch this fight and see how it plays out. Potentially future data for the next fight.